The air is still, and in this hour before the world stirs you begin to wake. Somewhere along the edge of the Roman world, perhaps on the rocky coast of Campania or the calm lagoons of Ravenna, a fisherman slowly opens his eyes. His home is simple, a single-room dwelling built from local stone, its walls thick with years of salt and smoke. The roof is thatch, patched with driftwood, and the doorway faces the sea, not for beauty, but for necessity. The sea is life, and today, like every day, it calls before the sun. The floor is packed earth, cold underfoot. He stirs on a mat of straw, wrapped in a thin woolen blanket, rough to the touch. Nearby, a clay oil lamp still holds the last inch of charred wick from last night. Its glow long gone, but the smell of spent oil lingers faintly, mixing with the scent of drying nets hung on pegs against the wall. There are no clocks, no bells, just the ancient rhythm of sky and tide. Outside, the sea is dark indigo, still, waiting. The stars have not yet faded, and only the faintest silver blush lines the horizon. This is the hour when fishermen rise, not in haste, but by custom, shaped by generations who rose the same way. One hand stretches toward a small wooden box by the bed. Inside, flint, steel, and a tightly wrapped coil of flax. He strikes once, twice, until the spark catches. The tiny flame comes to life, trembling at first, then steady, illuminating the modest space. He dresses slowly, a tunic of coarse seawater stiffened linen, a belt made of knotted rope, sandals if the day will take him into town, but more often bare feet, better for balance on wet boards. There's no rush, the boat will wait, the sea will still be there. Everything is done with purpose and in silence. Before stepping out, he kneels, a quiet prayer to Neptune, god of the sea. His fingers trace the outline of a small carved figurine on a shelf. A gift from his father and his father's father before him. Not elaborate, just a piece of driftwood shaped to resemble a trident. But it means something. In this life, one does not tempt the sea without reverence. He stands, pulls a short woolen cloak around his shoulders, and lifts the door latch. It creaks, and the chill rushes in. But it's a familiar cold, the kind that settles in your bones only after many seasons. He steps outside. The shoreline is quiet, save for the soft push and pull of the waves meeting sand. Small pebbles shift with each receding draw of the water. The sky begins to brighten ever so slightly. A pale grey now replaces black, and the first seabirds stir along the rocks. To the left, other fishermen do the same. You can just make them out. Silent figures emerging from doorways, each carrying nets slung over shoulders or baskets in hand. They nod to each other, perhaps murmur a few words, but most remain quiet. In fishing communities, words are not wasted before the catch. The boats are modest, shallow-hulled, made of pine and sealed with pitch. They are pulled up onto the sand above the tide line. Each one is tended like a member of the family, patched, sanded, and blessed. Before dragging it down to the water, he inspects it, checks the hull for leaks, runs a hand over the oarlocks, and tests the tension of the net cords bundled in the bottom. His boat is called Aurora. It means dawn, a name given by his mother when he was a boy, long before he took it out to sea alone. The name, like the boat, has weathered time. He moves to the drying rack. There, hanging from wooden poles supported by stones, are nets washed the day before, woven from flax cord stiff with brine. They smell of salt, fish, and sun. He takes one down carefully, folding it with practiced ease, knowing exactly how it will unfurl later, mid-water, like a curtain catching a breeze. Near the fire pit, a small loaf of bread waits, stale but nourishing. It is dipped in oil, then sprinkled with coarse salt and crushed herbs. No feast, but enough to fill the belly. A skin of water is slung over one shoulder. A wineskin, half full, is strapped beside it. Not for indulgence, but to warm the body if the sea wind bites too sharply. He moves methodically, rope over shoulder, basket secured, oars tucked underarm. Nothing is forgotten, because forgetting at sea can mean danger, or at least wasted effort. He begins to drag the boat toward the shoreline. The sound is soft but steady, the rasp of wood over sand, the creak of leather-wrapped joints, the distant caw of gulls now circling high above. Other fishermen are doing the same. Some work in pairs, others alone. An older man leans on a post watching the sea. Perhaps he no longer rows out, but his eyes still read the water better than any youth. He nods once, almost imperceptibly, as if to say, "It will be a good morning." You slip the boat into the surf. Water rushes over your feet, cold but clean. One final push, then a hop inside. The boat rocks gently, but your body knows how to shift with it. Hands grasp the oars. You begin to row, slow, steady. The shore drifts behind. The village becomes a quiet silhouette. A few lanterns still glow faintly. You see smoke rising from a chimney. Someone has begun to bake the day's bread. But out here it is only you, the boat, and the deep. The air changes. It is crisper, tinged with salt and the faint smell of seaweed. The stars are fading. The world is waking, but you are already in motion. This is how a Roman fisherman's day begins. Not with drama or noise, but with ritual, repetition, and deep familiarity. The tools he holds are the same his ancestors used. The sea he enters has not changed. The world may shift in Rome, in palaces and politics, but here by the water time moves slower. He rows on toward the horizon's slow bloom of gold. With each slow pull of the oars, the land fades behind you. The sound of the shoreline grows quieter now. The cries of gulls become distant echoes, and the familiar contours of the village shrink into a soft silhouette. A cluster of thatched rooftops and low stone huts hugging the coast. You are alone on the water. The oars move steadily, not with urgency but rhythm. Each stroke dips cleanly into the sea, pushing your boat forward, cutting through the stillness. The wood creaks in reply, not groaning, just speaking in the old language of ships, a gentle protest of oarlocks and damp hull. The sea is calm this morning. A thin mist hangs low over the surface, glowing faintly gold as the horizon brightens. The air tastes of brine and damp wood. Your breath rises in pale curls before dissolving. Beneath you, the water shifts in hues, from steel grey to green blue to the faintest shimmer of silver, touched by the first fingers of sunlight. This is the most sacred part of the day, the quiet passage from shore to open sea. It is not just a journey of distance, but of awareness. With each stroke you leave behind the smells of smoke, the sounds of human chatter, and the weight of stone walls. Out here, all is fluid, shifting, ancient. The boat rocks gently side to side. You know its rhythm, you trust it. To your right, a heron lifts from the reeds. Slow-winged, graceful, it rises, circles, then vanishes toward the cliffs. Far in the distance, another fisherman's boat appears as a dark mark against the brightening sky. You do not need to speak. Your paths may cross, or not. Each man has his own spot, known through years of tides, wind, and instinct. The sun has not yet risen, but the light grows. Pale gold stretches along the horizon. The sea reflects it, a vast glowing sheet rippling softly. Somewhere below, unseen, fish stir. Shoals drift in deeper layers, following invisible cues. The warmth of the water, the pull of the moon, the tremble of vibrations from your boat above. You pause to listen. The oars rest on the gunwales. Your hands, calloused from years of labour, flex once, then still. There is no sound now but the gentle slap of waves against the hull and the occasional distant cry of a seabird. The silence is not empty. It is full of meaning, full of memory. You reach for the small net resting beside you, coiled tightly, its lead weights dangling like beads. You know this net. You've repaired it many times. It bears your knots, your father's knots. In one corner, the faint stain of squid ink never fully washed out, a story in every inch of its cord. You cast it gently over the side, no dramatic motion, just the careful toss of a practiced hand. The weights plop softly into the water, pulling the mesh down in a lazy spiral. It descends into the depths, vanishing from sight. You mark the spot, not with GPS or compass, but by feel, by line of sight to a break in the cliffs, or the alignment of clouds over a familiar headland. You wait. Not for seconds, but for minutes, sometimes longer. Fishing is patience made visible. It is the art of quiet anticipation. While you wait, you take in the sky. The stars are gone now. The dawn has arrived. The sun peaks up, not sudden, but slow, like the lid of a golden jar being lifted. It stretches across the water, Warm light spilling in long lines across the waves. The air feels softer now. The breeze carries a touch of warmth. You sip from your water skin. Not much, just enough to wet your throat. You pull your wool cloak tighter. There is always a bite in the early hours, no matter the season. You've learned to live with it. It keeps you awake, aware. Sometimes, in moments like this, thoughts drift. Not heavy thoughts, not politics or problems, but memories. A morning like this one, 5 years ago, or the time the net caught an eel twice the length of your arm, or a laugh shared with a friend who no longer rows out. You're not alone, even when alone. The sea holds the ghosts of generations, not as hauntings, but as echoes. The water has carried countless boats, men like you, sons of men like your father, waking before light, rowing out in the same rhythm, eyes searching the same horizon. A light breeze picks up. It rustles the folds of your cloak and sends tiny ripples across the water's surface. You let your hand trail into the sea, cold, smooth. Your fingers move through it slowly as if feeling the pulse of something larger. After a time, you begin to retrieve the net. Again, no hurry. You pull hand over hand, carefully letting the weights rise slowly. Water streams from the cords as they emerge. You look for signs, the glitter of scales, the wriggle of motion. Sometimes the net comes up heavy, sometimes light, but always with grace. This morning you see shimmer, small fish, silvery sprats, perhaps a mullet, caught in the mesh. A modest catch, but welcome. You untangle them with practiced fingers, setting them gently in the basket. Some are still alive, flicking weakly. Their movements slow under the morning air, and you cast again. This process continues. The quiet cycle of row, wait, pull, examine. The sun now rides higher. The chill lessens. The sky is washed in peach and pale blue. In the distance, a sail appears. Perhaps a grain barge heading to Ostia. You note its direction, but return to your task. That world is far away. Here, your world is the water, the net, the weight of fish, the texture of cord against your palm. Eventually the basket fills, not overflowing, but enough. Enough to feed your family, enough to trade, enough to count the day a success. And so, you pause. You rest your oars across your lap and lean back slightly, letting the boat drift. The sun warms your face. You close your eyes for a moment. Not to sleep, just to absorb. The wind is light, the waves gentle. The sea for now is kind. You take out the last bit of bread. Hard, but still good. You chew slowly, watching the light dance on the waves. A single gull floats overhead, wings still, coasting on the updraft. This moment, this pause before returning, is perhaps the sweetest of all. The work is done, but the shore is not yet calling. You are between worlds, between effort and rest, between solitude and community. You breathe deeply. Salt, wood, old rope, fish. These are the smells of your life. You place your hand on the side of the boat. The wood is warm now, drying in the sun. You whisper a quiet word of thanks to Neptune, to the sea, to the morning. Then slowly you reach for the oars. Time to row home. The sea is generous when she chooses to be. By now the sun has risen well above the horizon. Its warmth stretches across the boat like a soft shawl, lifting the early chill from your skin and drying the brine on your clothes. The world has changed since you left the shore. Light has replaced darkness. Motion has replaced stillness. And yet, the sea remains calm. Its vast, gently rolling surface hides everything. Beneath your feet, a mystery. A realm not made for men. But still you try. The morning wears on with a steady rhythm. Cast, drift, retrieve. Sometimes with reward. Sometimes with nothing at all. And through it all, you remain patient. You've learned not to expect. The sea is not a servant. She gives when she gives. A school of sardines flickers beneath the surface. Quick, bright flashes like scattered silver coins. You adjust your position quietly, shifting the weight of your small wooden boat just slightly. You toss the net again, a practiced arc smooth and even. The weights pull it down in a slow spiral, spreading wide like a curtain falling underwater. Then, you wait. You rest your hands on the edge of the boat. The wet wood is cool beneath your fingertips. You close your eyes, not to sleep but to listen. The sea is never silent. It murmurs, it laps, it shifts. A gull cries overhead. A fish jumps once far off, then vanishes. You begin the pull, hand over hand, slowly, steadily. The net rises through the water, heavier this time. You feel it before you see it. A familiar resistance, a deeper drag. This is the gift. The sea has answered. Soon the net emerges, glistening in the sun. Entangled within are anchovies, dozens of them, sleek, silver, trembling in the mesh. Some flick, some twitch, others lie still. You do not rush. You bring the net into the boat carefully, laying it out across the planks. The fish slide gently into the wicker basket you've set beside you. It smells of salt and life. Each fish is handled with care, not for sentiment but for survival. Everyone has value. Some will go to the market, some to your household. Others will be salted and stored for leaner days. Nothing is wasted. You reach again, this time for the long line, a simple cord with hooks spaced at intervals. It's an older method, used when the sea is calm. You bait each hook with practiced fingers, bits of cut fish or small clams you collected near the shore days before. Then, with quiet ceremony, you let the line out, watching it disappear beneath the surface, slipping into the quiet world below. You wait once more, time passes. You might hum a tune, something old, something your mother sang while weaving baskets by firelight. Or you might simply let your thoughts drift, watching the clouds move across the sky like slow-moving ships. When you retrieve the line, you feel the telltale pull, a wriggling weight, a small struggle against your hand. One by one, the hooks come up, some empty, some bearing gifts. A red gurnard, its fins splayed like feathers, a small squid, tentacles wrapping reflexively, a scorpion fish, beautiful but venomous, handled with care. Each species tells a story, each shape, a lesson passed down. You've learned to spot them instantly. The sharp curve of a sea bass, the oily sheen of mackerel, the wide-eyed stillness of a dead flounder. The sea offers variety but also danger. Some fish sting, some rot quickly, some are sacred to certain gods and avoided out of custom. You shift your basket to balance the weight evenly across the boat. Too much in one place and she'll list. Even in calm waters, respect must be shown. The sea has no patience for the careless. A sudden splash breaks the silence. A dolphin, sleek and playful, arcs out of the water nearby. You pause your work to watch. It dives again, followed by another, then another. A small pod, passing through. Not rare, but always welcome. Some fishermen consider it a good omen, a sign of Neptune's favour. You smile softly, eyes following their path until they disappear toward the horizon. Back to work. You clean the catch in small motions, a wooden scraper for scales, a curved blade to slit the bellies. You rinse them in the sea, the blood swirling in lazy red clouds, quickly pulled away by the current. The fish are then wrapped in linen cloth and placed neatly into your basket. Your hands are stained, but the smell is familiar. Brine, blood, and sun. Now comes the final pull of the net, your last cast of the morning. It's heavier than expected. You brace your legs, dig your heels against the wooden boards, and pull. The net emerges with effort. Within it, something larger, a cephalopod, a cuttlefish, with mottled skin and wide, shifting eyes. Its body pulses as you lift it aboard. A slow spray of ink mists the edge of the boat, staining your tunic. You laugh quietly, wiping it away. The sun is higher now, the sky bright. The heat begins to build. You pour a little wine into your mouth, just enough to ease your thirst, and sit for a moment. The breeze is still kind. The water sparkles. The boat bobs gently. You breathe in deeply, letting the air fill your lungs. The weight of the catch beside you is satisfying. It's not a bounty, not a miracle, but it is enough. Enough to trade, enough to eat, enough to endure another day. You take a small piece of dried fig from your pouch and chew slowly. The sweetness cuts through the salt in your mouth. You look out across the wide blue plain. The sea, eternal and unknowable. It has taken friends, sunk boats and changed lives, but today it has been merciful. You begin to clean your tools. The knife is wiped and returned to its sheath. The nets are shaken and spread loosely to dry. The line is wound, the hooks checked for damage. Everything must be in order. Tomorrow will come again, and you'll need each piece just as much. There is a quiet joy in this moment, the work behind you, the boat steady, the fish secure. You rest your arm along the side of the boat and look toward the land. It is time to go back. But first, one last look at the water. The way it shimmers in the light, the way it moves beneath you. Slow, patient, ancient. You nod once, not to anyone in particular, but to the sea herself. Thank you. The sea has given. Now it is time to bring the gift ashore. You adjust your weight in the boat and shift the baskets. The morning is now fully grown, the sun well above the hills, casting long reflections on the surface of the water. The boat drifts lazily for a moment as you take one last look across the open sea. You can still hear the low hush of the waves behind you, like a breath released. It's time to return. The oars slip into the water with the ease of habit. Your arms, though tired, find their rhythm again, a quiet creak with every stroke. The shore appears slowly at first, a dark line between the silver blue of sea and sky. Then the forms sharpen, the sandy inlet, the familiar rocks, and beyond them, the cluster of simple homes where your day began. As you near the beach, the sounds of human life begin to return. You hear voices, soft at first, carried faintly on the breeze. A merchant calling out to a neighbour, a dog barking in short, excited bursts, a child's high-pitched laugh. Your village is waking in full, and you, with your catch, are among the first to greet it. The boat slides into shallower water, its keel scraping softly against sand and gravel. You rise carefully, steadying your feet before stepping into the shallows. The sea embraces your ankles once more, cool and clean, as you pull the boat the last few feet onto the shore. The wet hem of your tunic clings to your legs. It doesn't matter. You've felt this 1,000 times. It is the signature of a fisherman, saltwater soaked, sun-warmed, and sea-worn. Your catch, wrapped in linen and packed in baskets, is lifted carefully. Not heavy, but significant. It holds the fruits of your morning, your labour, and the generosity of the sea. You begin the walk inland, up the narrow sandy path that leads from the beach toward the heart of the village. The light is sharp now, the colours vivid. Whitewashed walls, ochre tiles, the green of olive trees leaning into the wind. A few other fishermen walk beside you, some in silence, others in quiet conversation. You nod in passing, sharing small greetings. Nothing loud, nothing rushed. The market lies just beyond the central square, a low-roofed open-air space shaded by stretched cloth and wooden beams. It is not grand. There are no columns or statues here, just the worn rhythm of daily life. Sellers, buyers, baskets, coin and trade. You find your usual spot, a worn plank balanced on 2 barrels, and begin laying out your catch. The linen cloths are folded back to reveal the glistening contents. Silver sardines, deep red mullet, pale flounder, a single squid curled like a sleeping hand. The colours and textures shine under the morning sun, still damp with seawater. Already the regulars begin to gather. First, an older woman with a woven shawl and sharp eyes. She pokes gently at a fish, examining the gills, the eyes, the scales. She knows freshness. She nods approvingly and offers a handful of coins. You weigh them in your palm. Fair. Next, a young slave from a nearby villa, sent by his master's cook. He points shyly to 2 gurnards and hands over a sealed note bearing the villa's mark. You wrap the fish neatly in rushes and hand them over with a soft word. A few others come. A tavern keeper's boy, an old veteran with a limp, a girl carrying herbs in a basket who wants only scraps for her cat. This is how it goes. Small trades, soft voices, coin clicks, fish shift. No one hurries, no one shouts. The market is not just commerce, it's ritual. A gathering of familiar faces, practiced gestures and small kindnesses. You watch as the baskets empty slowly, the sun rising higher behind your back. Sometimes someone barters instead of buying. A wedge of cheese, a small flask of olive oil, a twist of garlic. You weigh the offer with a glance and usually accept. Coin is good, but so is trust, so is reputation. A fisherman who trades fairly is remembered, and remembered men are fed. You pause, wiping your hands on your tunic. The linen is stained now, blood and salt and scales. But your work is mostly done. A vendor nearby sells bread. and you trade a small fish for a still warm loaf. You break off a piece, chew slowly. The crust is hard, but the inside is soft. It mixes well with the salt still on your lips. Around you, the sounds swell gently. The rustle of cloth in the breeze, the calls of vendors offering olives and honey, the crack of amphory lids, the clang of metal cups. Someone sings softly in the distance, a tune about sailors and the stars. You listen, you eat. You rest a hand on the basket, now nearly empty. Later, you'll return to the shore to wash the boat and lay out your nets to dry on wooden frames. You'll mend any tears, tighten the cords, and coat them with a thin rub of oil to keep them from stiffening. You'll hang your cloak to dry in the sun, rinse your face in a basin, and stretch out on the smooth stone behind your home, where the wind always blows soft. But for now, you stay. You sit behind your little stall and let the moment pass slowly. The shadows stretch across the ground. The voices mingle. The air smells of thyme, seaweed, and warm bread. You watch people move, not with speed, but with purpose. No one here is rich. No one here is idle. But there is peace in the simplicity, peace in the predictability. You watch a boy carry a fish home, proud. You see an old man nod at you as he walks past, silent approval. You notice the birds circling above, already eyeing the scraps on the ground. You let the sun warm your shoulders. You exhale deeply and let the rest of the world spin without you, just for a while. The sea has been kind, the work is done, and now the light begins to fade. The sun lowers gently behind the hills, and a deepening gold spills across the village rooftops. Long shadows stretch between stone walls, and the air cools, softened by the scent of evening fires. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks once, then falls quiet again. You return home slowly, your steps relaxed, your arms empty. The baskets have been traded, your hands washed in a stone basin near the market, and your tunic brushed down with a handful of dry reeds. Your body is tired, but not heavy. It is the honest fatigue of a day spent close to nature, shaped by wind and wave and sun. Your home greets you with silence, a good silence, a waiting silence. The small doorway creaks as you open it and you step inside. The interior is dim, touched by the last golden light slipping through a narrow window. On the table, a clay jug, a wooden bowl, a few olives, and a crust of bread. Familiar things. There is comfort in their presence. The predictable rhythm of your life in physical form. You set aside your belt, remove your sandals, and drape your cloak over a peg by the wall. The coiled net, still damp from its final wash, hangs beside it. You kneel beside the hearth. The ashes from the morning's fire are cold now, grey and soft. You brush them aside with a small reed broom and place a new bundle of kindling on the stones. With practiced movements, you strike flint to steel, and a tiny spark catches on the dried flax. You blow gently. The fire stirs, takes breath, then grows. Soon, a small flame flickers beneath the pot suspended on an iron hook. The scent of smoke curls upward, sharp and earthy, mingling with the warmth rising from the hearth. You fill the pot with water from a jug and add handfuls of dried herbs, a pinch of salt, and the last of the day's small catch. Tiny fish, heads and tails intact, gently simmering into a simple stew. You sit beside the fire as it crackles softly. The light flickers on the walls, casting shadows that move and stretch. Your hands rest on your knees. You do not need to think. You only need to be. Soon the door creaks again. Your wife returns from the garden, where she gathered herbs and a few figs. She moves quietly, her presence familiar and warm. A child follows behind her, sleepy-eyed, hair tousled, carrying a clay cup with both hands. You smile. Dinner is quiet. The stew is ladled into wooden bowls, steam curling from its surface. The bread is torn by hand, passed gently from one to the other. There are no courses, no silver, no luxury, only sustenance shared with those you love. Your child tells a story, about a bird that stole a fig from the garden, or about the neighbour's goat that wandered into the baker's yard. You laugh softly. Your wife listens, nodding, eyes gentle. After the meal, you gather around the low hearth. The fire burns low now, its light golden and slow. Your wife threads dried herbs onto a string. Your child plays with a carved wooden figure. A dolphin, perhaps, or a little boat. You sip wine from a clay cup. Not much, just enough to loosen the day's knots from your shoulders. And then, as the fire dwindles and the oil lamp is lit, its soft yellow glow replacing the flames, you rise to prepare for sleep. You check the net one last time. It hangs neatly, drying in the cool night air. Your boat sits by the shore, tethered and still, its shape a familiar silhouette beneath the stars. The door is closed softly. Inside, you light one more lamp, a beeswax taper in a small dish. Its flame dances gently, casting a warm circle of light around your straw bedding. The room smells of smoke, sea salt, and wool. You settle down slowly. The straw mat is not soft, but it is known. Your body moulds into its familiar grooves. A folded cloak becomes your pillow. A thin wool blanket covers your legs. The child is asleep already, curled beside your wife. The quiet breathing of loved ones is a lullaby in itself. You listen to the night. The wind rustles through the reeds outside. A gull cries faintly across the water. Somewhere far off, a cartwheel creaks on a stone road, heading inland. But here, within these walls, there is only stillness. You let your eyes close. The sea still whispers, even now, a memory, a presence. It will be there tomorrow, and the day after that, and you will rise again before the first light and return to her. But for now she sleeps, and so do you.